were liars in wait, abiding in the chamber, and he brake them from off his arms like a thread. Delilah said unto Samson, Although thou hast mocked me and told me lies, tell me therewith thou mightest be bound. And he said unto her, If thou weavest the 7 locks of my head with the web. And she fastened it with a pin, and said unto him, The Philistine be upon thee, Samson. And he awoke out of his sleep, and went away with the pin of the pin, and with the web. And she said unto him, How canst thou say, I love thee, when thy heart is not with me? Thou hast mocked me these 3 times, and hast not told me wherein thy great strength lieth. And it came to pass, when she pressed him daily with her words, and urged him, so that his soul was vexed unto death, that he told her all his heart, and said unto her, There hath not come a razor upon my head, for I have been a Nazarite unto God from my mother's womb. If I be shaven, then my strength will go from me, and I shall become weak and be like other man. And when Delilah saw that he had told her all his heart, she sent and called the lords of the Philistines, saying, Come up this once, for he hath showed me all his heart. Then the lords of the Philistines came up unto her, and brought money in their hand, and she made him sleep upon her knees. And she called for a man, and she caused him to shave off the 7 locks of his head. And she began to afflict him, and his strength went from him. And she said, The Philistine be upon thee, Samson. And he awoke out of his sleep, and said, I will go out as at other time before, and shake myself. And he wist not that the Lord was departed from him. But the Philistines took him, and put out his eyes, and brought him down to Gaza, and bound him with fetters of brass, and he did grind the prison house. Think what this young man in his foolishness went through. When a believer loses focus on the field of evangelism, he will become a fool, and at the same time act like one. When a believer loses focus on the field of evangelism, at that moment he will begin to love things that he once hated. When a believer loses focus on the field of evangelism, he will begin to build again the things which he once destroyed, and at the same time he will become a transgressor. When a believer loses focus on the field of evangelism, at that moment harlots will become attractive unto him. When a believer loses focus on the field of evangelism, at that moment he will forget whom he is and what he represents. When a believer loses focus on the field of evangelism, at that same moment he will fall into a ditch dug for him by his enemies. When a believer loses focus on the field of evangelism, he will forget that he is a target to the dark world. When a believer loses focus on the field of evangelism, he will start telling lies, and at the same time pretend to still stand on truth. When a believer loses focus on the field of evangelism, he will by himself hand himself over to those who wanted him dead. When a believer loses focus, he will by himself break the hedge that God built around him for his protection. When a believer loses focus on the field of evangelism, powers who won't fear him will at this time mess him up. When a believer loses focus, he will become a caricature in the hand of his enemies. Jude chapter 1, 22, 23. And of some have compassion, making a difference, and others save with fear, pulling them out of the fire, hating even the garments spotted by the flesh. It is compassion that makes a soldier to sacrifice everything for the sake of his country. It is compassion